Okay, hopefully. Hi, everybody. I'm Lauren Cohen, the host of Investing Across Borders, where we teach you to invest, live, work, and play across borders. I'm an international legal and real estate expert, originally from Canada, now in South Florida, and grateful to be here because I just had a pile of snow in my hometown of Thornhill, Ontario. So I was speaking with a couple of people this morning that were snowed in, and I was like, oh, I'm grateful to be in Florida. So I am here today with my very good friend and wonderful, amazing credibility expert, Mitchell Levy. Mitchell is in literally on the other side of the country in the San Francisco Bay Area. I guess it could be further. You could be in Seattle, but Mitchell and I have known each other a good couple of years. And last year we were on the Marketers Cruise together, which obviously this year was postponed. Who knows how indefinitely. And we've had some good times together. Mitchell, you want to say hi and introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Hi, Lauren. Nice to
Hi.
see you. Good to be here.
Good. It's good to have you here. Tell us a little about yourself. I mean, what brought you to where you are? You publish books, you help people become experts and noted experts in their fields. And you just really, I know the CPOP, and there's so many amazing things that you've brought to the world. Tell us a little bit about them.
Okay, I love open-ended questions. So think of me as in two areas. One is what I actually do to help other people get credibility one-on-one, which I get paid for. The other is actually understanding what the word credibility is. And so I'm a global credibility expert and have interviewed over 500 thought leaders on this concept of credibility and have redefined the definition. And so I'm working on getting that updated at Oxford. Came out with a book.
Are they listening to you? I love that.
Well, it will change whether or not they listen now or tomorrow. It will change. So and so the have a book on the topic called Credibility Nation.
I
Have a
see it behind
membership.
you also. Yep.
All right, have a membership community of the same name, and recently, actually, it'll be out in April. Shot a TED talk focused on credibility. So there's one concept: is what is credibility? How do we live it? How do we execute on it? We'll talk about that further, and then how you and I, when we originally met back on the Marketers Cruise, and actually even before then,
Yeah. How
the,
did we
the
meet? Oh, LinkedIn. It was LinkedIn.
it was LinkedIn. And so there are two things that I'm doing at the moment. One is done for you book publishing.
Hmm.
So for those, and that's just an incarnation, one of many things people can do to get credibility. And so for those that want a book, 4 months from the time we start, we've ghostwritten, published, distributed, and made them an Amazon best-selling author. And then now here's the coolest thing that's relatively new, and that is running cred reels. A cred reel is a credibility shine video. It's an opportunity in 5 minutes for you to have an asset that people get to know, like, and trust you before they meet you. And that is, I've now have a new program we're just kicking off that is a annual program. So it's a semi-annual update to your cred reel.
Tell
Kind of
us
cool
about the
stuff.
cred reel. What's the cost of the cred reel? What's the value of the cred wheel? Why is it so important for every expert to have a cred reel?
Say that 5 times fast. I know I have a problem with R's too. So the so the it's the research that went into into this into the results, into what credibility is, and it's always the same 5 questions. And I think probably the best way to say it. Let's see, what's the end result? We all are looking for people to meet us, to interact with us, to actually find us and get word of mouth marketing is one of the best possible things we can do. Well, how do they do that? Well, they have to know who you are, and they have to remember you for who you are in such a short phrase, a sort of short approach, that they actually want to recommend you. And then you need to reinforce that content, reinforce who you are on your social media, on your, I'd say, your asynchronous communication. So let me give you a stat. 98%, it's now up to over 550 people. 98% of the people who get their cred reel need clarity on their CPOP. So the CPOP is your customer point of pain. And so it's often surprising to me that that number is so high. Essentially, in less than 10 seconds, typically 1 to 3 seconds, less than 10 words, can you say who you serve and the pain point you serve? And most people, 98%, actually need clarity on that. Now, when you could be so clear that you can articulate who you serve and the pain point you serve in, let's say, 3 seconds. And now what happens is you go to your LinkedIn, once you know that, you go to your LinkedIn profile and you do a update to it. You make it search engine optimized based on your CPOP. You go to your website, you do the same sort of thing. It gives you a lens. It's a compass. Your CPOP is your compass for who you are and how you serve. It doesn't mean your compass doesn't change over time. What it
Mhm.
does mean, though, and this is why we put the semi-annual thing in place, is every now and then you're going to say, hey, wait, I want to change slightly, or the world's changed around me. Let me re-update. And so the primary focus is really the green room conversation that the interviewees have with me, where we actually focus on and give clarity to your CPOP. The rest is just reinforcing who you are and what you do and how best you can do it. So if somebody sees you, they recognize, imagine you get an introduction and somebody says, oh, I know Lauren does the following. Here, watch this. And they watch the 5-minute video and they go, hey, I kind of like her. I want to do business with her. That's what a cred reel is. And we charge $997. We charge $1,000 for a cred reel.
And that's a one-time charge, right?
That's a one-time charge. And well, let me ask you this, Lauren. This morning's after workout brainstorm is for 1,500. What I was going to do is put people on a continuity program. And so I need to set that up as of this afternoon. And a continuity program, we'll do a cred reel once every 6 months. So a semi-annual cred reel. So essentially you're getting two for the price of 1.5. And I think what the last person I interviewed was someone in the marketing space who actually does this. I mean, she helps her clients get known. And when she came on, what we did is we did the conversation. It's typically a 45-minute interview, which produces that 5-minute video, that 5-minute interview. So that 45 minutes, when we changed her by the way, I don't change CPOPs. I just listen. And based on listening, I go, oh, wait, I think your CPOP's this, right? And it was so profound for her that she needed another week. So we rescheduled for the following week. We did the interview and I said, well, should we do this every quarter? And her response couldn't have been better. She goes, Mitchell, I have a lot of work now. I need to go into my LinkedIn profile and I need to update. I need to go into my website and update it based on allowing people to see me the way this CPOP now lets me do it. So why don't we do it every semi-annually? And so for 1,500 a year, the opportunity to stay on top of who you are and what you do, because Lauren, here's the cool part. If the CPOP is your compass, it tells you who you are, what you do, where you're going. When you can then do search engine optimization around your CPOP on LinkedIn, on
Right.
your
It's gonna
website,
come up every
you're
day.
magnetizing your compass.
Exactly, of course. I mean, it does make sense. And obviously, it's like a business plan. So people write business plans and they put them on the shelf and they're like, oh, that's my business plan. And then 6 months or a year later, they go and they're like, it's not my business plan anymore. For example, COVID happened. Lots of people's business plans changed, right?
It changed.
Right? Like a
Absolutely.
lot of like the marketers cruise people, for example. But at the end of the day, if you keep it static, that's not the way the world works. So you do need to have some kind of a continuity program. And I think that's great. And the beauty of what you do is that it is pervasive across borders, right? It doesn't matter where you are in the world. You need this CPOP. You need to know what your customer point of pain is. You need to know how to address that point of pain. This is the best way to sell, is to actually respond to the customer's pain point and to know what it is and how to respond. It also helps you to target your target market, hone in, laser focus on your target market. Now, how many people would you say are scared of being too focused on their target market? How many entrepreneurs, percentage wise?
That's a great question. No one's asked that question. So I think this number's the number that pops in my head is the Pareto number of 80%. I'm going to say
I think
80%.
you're probably about right, because I would bet you that most entrepreneurs, especially newer entrepreneurs, are scared of honing in on their target market because they
Oh,
think
right.
they're going to be too narrowly focused.
And you're doing yourself, just, if you're watching this or listening, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Huge disservice.
The the better you could be. So let's just be now let me give you mine. My CPOP is huge. Humans that want to be seen as credible. Now, who's going to recommend me for that per se?
Right.
Now, what'll happen is if you hear me, you go, "Oh man, that's really interesting, Mitchell." And I say, "Well, we have a membership community, and at different price points, you can come and join." We might recommend that. Now, if you heard me and you heard me when I upfront where I talked about what I do for books, the next time somebody says, "Hey, listen, I need a book and I just don't have any time," or "I've been thinking about writing my book forever," you're like, "Well, talk to Mitchell." I mean, that's one of the things we do, or the same thing on the cred reel. The the thing that's really fascinating is I have a lot of really good friends that I actually end up having continual conversation with, continual communication with. And a number of them, although I may really like them and appreciate them, I don't necessarily like when their perfect prospect comes by me, I don't necessarily know to recommend them because they're so broad at what they do. It's not
Mm-hmm.
clear that this is what they serve. This is who they serve, and this is why a good recommendation would make place. And I think that's as an entrepreneur going into this, I've heard this before, so let me share. This is the let's say you're a beginning entrepreneur and you don't even know what to charge. Okay,
I
I've
think
heard this.
at any stage, you're always
Oh
refining
well,
what
by
you
the way,
charge,
that's
right?
actually always
I mean, look,
that,
you asked me, what do you think about this, right?
actually that's
Because I'm
true.
your target market, aren't I? So it's
Well,
all, and I think that that's so important to understand. I just want to highlight the fact that no matter what stage you are in your business, you're always going, you need to, if you want to be successful, just like I said about this business plan and the static business plan, you need to be willing to be flexible and you need to be open to change because otherwise you're not going to be successful and your target market may change over time, right?
I think you brought up a really good point. Thanks for throwing it back at me. No matter who you are, there's always something new and an opportunity for you to, I guess I test drove my target market. Like, Lauren, would you pay 1,500 a year to get to a year? And Lauren, and after we're done, Lauren might say, "Yeah, Mitchell, here, where do I sign up?" Right.
Listen, I
And
have it written down already, okay?
I appreciate that.
Because the reality is that everybody needs the support of a team, and I think that within the scope of what you're doing, building that membership platform, and that ongoing, it's not one and done. We're never one and done. With a visa, this morning I'm talking to people. Somebody actually said to me, "And what happens once we get the visa? Do we still work with you?" Yes, please. The point is, you got to renew that damn thing. And if you just leave it hanging out there, you're not going to be able to. And people don't get that. You can't just say, "I got the visa, I got the cred wheel, I'm done. I'm done." No, you're not done. Now it's implementation. Now it's updating. Now it's test driving it. Now it's split testing. Did that cred wheel do what you wanted it to do? Maybe you need to modify it. Maybe you didn't really through nobody's error, you just missed something. Now fix it.
Perfect. Right. All right.
Right.
So
See, write that down. That's your copy for your email campaign.
I love that. Oh, I
but
absolutely
the
love that.
but the other part of it is, and this is interesting because you do work with people literally from all over the world. Are different people in different countries responding differently to what you're offering? And I asked this question of Penny Zenker the other day. She's done business. She lived in Switzerland. She sold her company to a French company. What do you feel that people are people, or are they? Do you need to address your marketing very differently depending on the country that you're targeting at the time?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. I think I'm going to say something initially partially controversial. I've been in Silicon Valley for 35 years. I've always felt that the Silicon Valley janitor could say something and people would listen from around the world.
Yes.
And that's still true here. So it's harder for me to answer your question because being a Silicon Valley consultant expert, thought leader, credibility expert, whatever it is you want to call me. So being that, I've always had people listen or pay attention differently because the expectation is that new trends, new ideas emanate out of Silicon Valley. Now, on the Credwell side, it's really interesting. I'm trying to think about, I don't actually see a difference. Like when I talk human to human. So when we're in a green room and I turn the recording off, so there's no recording, and we're talking about who you are and how you serve, a human is a human, right? And I think what happens is sometimes we may change the CPOP because of the economic environment around them, right? So there are external factors that may change how people show themselves or
Of
present
course.
themselves.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, your CPOP is your purpose. It's what you wake up in the morning and you are excited about doing something because if you're not excited about doing something because then you have the wrong CPOP and you're on maybe the wrong planet,
Yeah.
right? So
Definitely the wrong trajectory.
you're in the wrong trajectory, right? And I think so. To answer your question, the answer is not really. I mean, there isn't. When you get down to the fundamental of who you are and what your purpose is and how you serve, that that breaks all borders.
Okay. Yeah, I think I would have to agree with you. One thing that I have noticed is that working with people from literally all over the world, 80% of them inbound to the US, 20% outbound from the US or Canada to somewhere else. Okay. So obviously, the North Americans, for the most part, well, actually, this is not even true because they call me the Canadian Whisperer because Canadians are different. Canadians are longer decision makers. They take a lot longer to make decisions. Now, some of the Canadians that you're dealing with, my Canadians, for example, the big guys are actually my clients. So some of the Canadians you're dealing with don't make decisions as slowly because they're in a different echelon. But Canadians, as a rule, are more conservative. So you're going to sell to them a little differently, but you're still going to speak that same language. However, if you're in Canada and you're doing a presentation about the CPOP, let's say, do you think you might modify the way that you did it?
Oh,
Definitely, if you're in Israel or you're in France,
to answer that question, absolutely.
exactly.
Culturally, the funnest thing I did and how I learned that lesson, Lauren, was I think it was it might have been as early as 19 is in the late 1980s.
Mhm.
Okay. Long, long, long time ago. And I was working for Sun Microsystems and I was working in their financial systems at the time. And I created something for all the financial analysts around the world. And so I actually got on a plane and I did the training in the U.S. in California. Then I went to the East Coast of the U.S. and then I went
Even
to
that's different, right?
oh well, I'm going to go through all of them. So
Okay.
so I went to London, France, Germany, Hong Kong, Japan, and I was shocked at I guess I was kind of naive before then, and then all of a sudden I was shocked afterwards because yeah, even the U.S. is different now. At the time, this is hopefully no longer true. In most of the other places of the world, you needed to consume a liquid lunch, which meant alcohol.
Now
Okay,
you need it here.
and now I actually have a liquid lunch, but it's a green juice, right?
Right,
So
exactly.
but it was really fascinating. I think probably the shocker for most people who, when you think about the Asian cultures, in Hong Kong and more importantly in Japan, you can't possibly trained the same way. It just doesn't work. It needs to be more experiential. You need to get people out of their chair, out of their comfort zone. You can't say, did you hear what I say? Do you understand it? Because so in the US, when you say, Lauren, did you understand what I just said? You're going to say yes. In Japan, when you said, did you understand what I said? The answer is, yes, I heard that you asked me a question. It's not that I understood what you said, it's that I heard a question. So yes doesn't mean yes in different parts of the world. And then when I think about Germany or France or UK and the sales cycle, it's different because depending on where you are, and as you mentioned, a Canadian is not a Canadian, right? There are multiple types of Canadians, right? And so what happens is, and we know this from understanding a sales funnel, what you need to know when you're interacting with somebody is where are they on the overall concept of the sales funnel? Do they know you? Do they like you? Do they trust you? If that's the case, then they're actually listening to who you are and what you have to say. Now, a lot of times if they don't know who you are and you're at the top of the funnel, you need to do things that get people to know, like, and trust you. You get to do things so that they assume that when you say something and you promise a result, you're going to deliver it. Because unfortunately, today, there's all these people promising a bunch of shit and not delivering. I call them dubious.
A lot of promises, not a lot of fulfillment.
And I call those people dubious. So I do. I do, and a lot of people do this as well, is I'll actually say, here's what we're going to do. Here's the end result. Here's the promise. Here's the guarantee. Right. And what's nice about that approach is you're relieving the pressure associated with delivering something. You know, on the book side, we will, unless the author slows us down, 4 months from the time we start and only 10 hours of the author's time, we will ghostwrite, publish, distribute, make them an Amazon best-selling author.
And how much is this? 5,000, 10,000? What's the deal? I forget.
We have our current process. We do a little bit more. We're at 27,500. And we deliver what we do. Let's see. I'll give you an example.
See, there's value in what this gentleman does because the value is dictated by the fact
we do hardcover, we do paperback, we do part of what happens as soon as we're done in the 4 months, we let the author contact our partner and then they read their audiobook. We do color on the inside, and then there's a QR code that points to a video. So part of it is having videos where the author's talking about their content. And then the really cool part is most of the time when you're thinking about a book, what happens is the ROI doesn't come from book sales.
Nope.
The ROI comes from speaking and consulting.
Engagement.
Now, there is a place where you could get an ROI, and part of the 27.5, we actually create a 1-hour course. And so, you know, your book you're selling we typically sell a hardcover for 25. We sell a paperback for 20. Maybe you make $1, maybe you make $2 or $3 per book. Nothing. You can actually sell an online course for $197. And so how many online courses do you need to sell? Not as many, right? So we actually, for that 27.5, we do the online course, it's the audio book, and then physical, both hardcover and paperback books, and the Amazon bestseller campaign.
That's an awesome, amazing deal. And obviously you're also going to help them. This is all building their credibility, and it's all interconnected back to being part of Credibility Nation. And how many authors have you published?
Oh, we've published over 750 books.
That's a lot.
It's a couple.
I know that there's a guy in Boca, who I won't name, who you've done about 10 books for my friend here in Boca, Jack?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It might be 7 or 8.
Yeah.
Including, we did one with him and his daughter, which was absolutely beautiful.
Oh, cool. Yeah, so it's funny because it just goes to show you how pervasive what Mitchell is doing is, because I was co-chair at a Jewish Federation program with this gentleman, and he had a book, and he had many books, but we were introducing all these icon speakers, very, very high profile speakers, like I can't remember their names now, but like can't believe it. Like the gentleman who started Subway, or the gentleman who, like the CEO of Carnival and cruise lines, and all these major philanthropists. And I'm looking at the book, and I see the back, and I see your name, and I'm like, wait a minute. And it was just very cool because it just shows you how pervasive it is in the
Well, is there any
entrepreneurial
reason we
world.
can't mention his name? I'd be happy to mention his name.
You can mention his name.
So Jeffrey Shavich is absolutely what I love about Jeff is he is constantly reevaluating and repurposing. And so way back when he started and ran a credit card processing company, sold that, he now does something really interesting, Lauren. He goes to larger companies and essentially he'll say, I think you're paying too much for your credit card stuff. I'm not going to charge you anything. I'm just going to save you money. And you split the money savings with me. Like, think about business model here, guys. This is like such a beautiful thing. When you could, the guarantee is don't pay me. Think about this. So even if you don't know, Jeff, don't pay me unless I save you money. And if I save you money, it's newfound money. So I get half of it. It's a nice model, actually.
Yeah. And that's actually a great model for success, because you're partnering with the client, and you take a vested interest in the outcome of the process. And there's a gentleman we know from our cruise that does that with taxes. And it's just a great way because it shows that you're vested and invested in the outcome. And it's a great way to make even more money, but you're building credibility because you're participating in the outcome. You're not just saying my fee is X no matter what. So it's a great model. So Mitchell, if people want to reach you and learn about Credibility Nation or how to get their books published in multiple streams, how do they do that?
So credibilitynation.com. So exactly how it sells is how you can get to the membership site.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to reach me directly, it's just my name, mitchellevy360.com. And there it'll point you back to Credibility Nation. It'll also let you connect to me on social media, and it has access to my calendar. So if you want to book time directly on my calendar, just go to mitchellevy360.com.
mitchellevy360.com. This is Lauren Cohen from Boca Raton, Florida, signing off with Investing Across Borders. I thank you for being my guest today. I'm glad that you're staying safe and well on the West Coast, as I am here on the East Coast. And it's always a pleasure to spend time with you, Mitchell.
Absolutely, Lauren. You are fantastic. I really enjoy this.
Pleasure. Thanks. Richard Fain, by the way, is the could not remember the name.
It's going to come somewhere.
Sometimes my brain is a little overwhelmed. So, but it's great. So anyway, and it's wonderful because all of us in the entrepreneurial world really do work together. And if you want to learn about Mitchell's programs, I know that he has affiliate programs, so you can bring others to his programs from all over the world so that you can help them build their credibility and bring value to what they're doing.
Actually, Lauren, I know we're wrapping up the end, but there's something really interesting. I'm always a big fan of experimentation. So there's a guy I bumped into, a guy by the name of Lucas Root. Lucas is probably one of the most, I can't say he's world renowned because not as many people know him because he's behind the scenes. He is one of the most amazing executioners I've ever. Now,
that doesn't sound good. That sounds like Henry VIII.
Let's change that. He's somebody who executes.
Implementers
for execution. Oh, he's not the direct implementer. He'll set up the strategy for the company to do the implementation and execution and the accountability. So we are doing together if you go to the stuff at Mitchell Levy 360 or Credibility Nation, we are actually doing a 5-day challenge together and leading that into a mastermind. And we're charging probably 1/10 of what we think we should be charging for those people who are part of the mastermind. And it's going to be for the rest of the year. We will help those 10 to 12 people who are involved. We will help them execute both with credibility, executing upon their purpose. And I think that's a really, really nice way to think through. But I'm always experimenting and playing with entrepreneurs. But Lucas, we go to Credibility Nation. You definitely want to join our 5-day challenge for that.
Absolutely. That sounds awesome. Credibilitynation.com. This is Lauren Cohen again, thanking my friend Mitchell Levy over on the west coast of the country, and signing off for today from Investing Across Borders, where we teach you how to invest, live, work, and play globally. Thanks again for joining us today. Bye for now.
Thanks, Lauren. See ya.
Thank you. Bye.